state of Arizona has been flying under the radar for the past couple of weeks, but the state polls have not been looking great for Trump. You think the state would be +3 red given the disastrous border policies of Biden and Harris, but it seems like there's more to these voters than just illegal immigration. You're saying maybe abortion rights? Or maybe because they flat out just don't like Donald Trump. Here's what Mesa Mayor John Gonzalez had to say about Trump in front of a Harris rally earlier this week.
I am the very proud mayor of Mesa, Arizona, but you don't owe a damn thing to that political party. And by all means, you owe no displaced loyalty to a candidate that is morally and ethically bankrupt.
What's up, everyone? Base pulls back at it again, and in this video, we're going to take a look at what's really going on in Arizona. And we're really going to just dive and dissect the likelihood of Trump's odds to win this state, see what he's got to do, see how he can kind of make up the math, and see where we go from there. So this is pretty much Nate Silver's poll for Arizona's statewide poll. And as you can see, this is kind of the same story with a lot of the swing states where Trump has been slightly going down and Kamala has been picking up. Although in Arizona, that margin's a lot less compared to like maybe Michigan. Michigan, I don't really know how she kind of skyrocketed there. But when we look at Arizona, and it's no surprise we're seeing this sentiment from, everywhere where we have a mayor from Mesa, Arizona in a Harris Walz rally stand up, and he's a Republican, by the way, GOP mayor, stand up against the Republican Party, who he believes that has changed, that he's not a part of anymore. So that's got to make some effect. That's got to have some effect on, Arizona citizens. And here we're seeing that poll steadily go down. So here's the real clear politics polling that's going on. And it's kind of a different story from Nate Silver. Here, Trump still has that sizable lead, about a +2.5 lead. Although Harris did get a huge shot up pretty much a week after she announced her campaign. And this might have been during that rally with Mesa Mayor. And this one seems a little bit more accurate to me, I would say. But remember, a lot of the state polling has been kind of going to this story. And then if you look at Polymarket, which isn't necessarily polls, but just the betting odds of who's going to win, people still betting their money that Trump's going to win this state. I would still bet money that he can win this state, but it's still within a margin of error. It's only +2, +3. Hence why it makes it a swing state. But I just want to know that if the betting odds are still decently in Trump's favor, then you got to look at this poll. And Nate Silver's no fraudster. You look at this with Arizona. How has Arizona been gaining +11.2 percentage point ground in a month change and +2.9 in a week? It really just comes down to the sentiment that we're seeing here with Arizona voters. Just take a look at this. So it looks like Arizona is going to tip away from the GOP because abortion's on the ballot. Well, remember, Republicans were signing the California exodus as a good thing. Nope, because that is turning Arizona more blue. Quite the performance. Haven't seen something like that since Obama's term. So we're seeing a lot of these comments and sentiments that are quite in fact going to tip the scales if Harris wins the state. Abortion's on the ballot. Many voters, it's been turning blue. I mean, we've been seeing the trends clearly that it's been going blue, and that exodus didn't help at all. I believe Arizona had, especially if you look at that Scottsdale, Phoenix area, about +7% increase in population. So that's nothing to hide. That's nothing to hide from. That's something that the Trump campaign's got to recognize. So if we take a look at the election from 2020 and how close this was, Biden had won this by 0.4%, and it was really a state that was won by a little over 10,000 votes. That's like nothing. I mean, 10,000 votes, you couldn't make that up. So will Trump just have the math? Is the math going to be in his favor to get 10,000 votes? That's really all that it's going to come down to here. And so here we're on Election Shuffler, and we can really kind of figure out the math and what's going to be going on here. So the main counties that we're really going to be interested in is Maricopa County and maybe Pima County. A lot of the other counties, in all honesty, they're really not going to make a huge a huge difference. Like, you look at Maricopa County, Biden won that by about 2 percentage points. So, it was you could probably say about 50,000 ish votes. Pima County, that margin was a little bit more by about 100, a little less than 100,000 votes. So that Pima will go blue, but Maricopa usually would go red, light red. It's been turning light blue now. So really, the number's 10,000 votes. Can he get to 10,000 votes? And so let's click on Maricopa County, right? So Maricopa County, it was a result that Biden had won, just that county about 50,000 votes. So if we look at the math right here, you know, it's at about 50% that Biden had won the state, Trump by 48%. And it really just has to tip the margin by a little bit. If we go Republicans by 3%, that's going to tip the scales to Trump's favor at 51%. That's really all he needs. He doesn't need anything super crazy. So look at that. Just by getting +3, he gets 77,000 votes of a lead in this state. So 77,000 instead of 45,000, which was the margin that he won in 2020. So that's about 30,000 more votes. And just that county alone, he could cover that margin that he lost in the previous election. Maricopa is where you want to have that security blanket, um, you know, for sure. And we're seeing this happen here where if you look at the 2016 election, and we're seeing the change from 2012, it's going a lot more blue, right? See Maricopa, Pima. I mean, Maricopa at one point used to be 54%. It was like a +10 swing. Now it's like, +3 in favor of the Dems instead of +10 in favor of Republicans. But remember, in 2016, Trump had won this state pretty handily. I mean, it was +4 state for Trump. Wasn't really close. But remember, the mass exodus out of California into Arizona and abortion being on the ballot is going to make a difference. So we have to take that into account and really understand what happens if Trump loses Arizona. So right off the bat, if Trump loses Arizona, let's just fill that in. Let's go to the map here out of blue. This is really just all it's really going to do is going to alleviate Harris from the Rust Belt states. And remember, they're up on the Rust Belt states, yeah, but this is no guarantee they're going to win these states. So, like I said, I am going to be giving Trump North Carolina and Georgia. Let's just say, he's going to get Georgia. I really don't think he's going to lose Arizona and Georgia again. They came down, wire thin. If Harris gets Arizona, I don't see Nevada going red. Obviously, abortion, like I said, on the ballot. You would still say illegal immigration will be on the minds of Nevada voters, but Harris just copied Trump's no tax on tips policy. So if pretty much Nevada voters hate Trump and they're like, okay, well, we're still not going to get taxed on tips, let's just go for Harris. So not much math. It's only 6 votes, but still. So now, if you look at the map here, it's 243 to 251. And essentially, let's say Harris gets a PA and she gets a Michigan, that wins the election. She doesn't need all 3 states to win the election. And, even if Harris picks these 2 states, okay, look, if you look at that, if she picks these 2 states, and if Trump picks a PA, he actually wins the election, right? So if Arizona does go out, the thing is, it's probably going to mean Nevada goes out, right? And that's sort of a double whammy for the Trump campaign, right? But the thing is, if Trump picks up Georgia and North Carolina, it's almost going to be like a blockade to the Harris campaign because it's still pressure that they need to get PA. Even if they win these 2 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, they need to get PA. Now, here's the thing. If the Trump campaign doesn't get one of these states, and they're both the same amount of votes, let's go Georgia. That is going to alleviate Harris a lot, and that is going to put a lot of pressure on Trump because I think his only pathway to win would be to win all 3 of these states. And, he wins 2 of these states, which has the most votes, gets out on Wisconsin. He can lose because that would be that would actually be a 269-269 tie. That'd be interesting. I don't know how that would work out. But remember, if Harris just wins a PA, election's over. It doesn't matter what happens to the other 2 states. If Harris wins a Michigan, then which she's leading, then wins the election without even those 2 states. So losing this state could mean losing Nevada. And then if they lose their guard with another Sunbelt state, that could put a lot more pressure. So that's why I'm saying that the losing this state could cause a lot of issues for the Trump campaign. But if he wins this state, I do think there's a lot more upside to him winning Arizona. If he wins Arizona, he could win Nevada too. It could be indicative policies of these two states. Even if he loses at Georgia, and if he wins at Georgia, I mean, it just puts immense pressure on Harris to win these three states. There's no way she'd have to win all three. So even if Trump loses at Georgia, right, and you're going to give Trump PA, he wins the election. There you go. So from that standpoint, Arizona is by no means a deal breaker. I'm not going to put it as much as of a deal breaker as PA is. It's less electoral math, even with Nevada combined. The thing is, though, it's just going to be a lot worse for Trump if he loses another state. If he holds serve for Georgia and North Carolina, he'll be fine. So that's something that I would really fret over. But in the grand scheme of things, guys, this is just a deep dive into one state. If you want a more complete standing of how the national polls are, please click on this video. I'll see you there.